My fellow Ambazonians, this is Dr. Cho Ayaba. We have been observing what is happening in Chad. And this is what I would like to let our people know. Our struggle for independence is at the epicenter of a dramatic change that may be necessary in the continent of Africa. Building original states, instituting political systems, value systems that reflect the reality of the people living within those states, instituting languages that are the very essence of our communication strategy, and ensuring that sovereignty actually is vested in the people, and that peoples across the continent can alter their government and put in place new governments that are accountable to them, governments that exploit resources to first and foremost focus on the personal development of their people and their country, institute political systems that are accountable to the people. I want to congratulate the people of Chad for taking out the old tyrant. And I call on France to allow the people of Chad to decide who leads them and to engage in bilateral relations that are mutually beneficial to both countries. The era of instituting political systems and putting in place autocrats whose sole responsibility is to the colonial master has not benefited France nor those countries. Autocracies, corruption are at the heart of massive poverty, the displacement of thousands of people, most of whom will end up on the shores of France and other countries. Poverty in Chad has an impact on the development of France, on the creation of opportunities for the French people. The very reason why Justin and others work together to ensure peace, collaboration, free trade, free market system, democratic pluralism within the continent of Europe was because of their understanding that what affects one European country negatively is going to trickle into the other countries. We watch the economic crisis in Greece and the impact it would have had on other countries within Europe, and how Europe pulled together to ensure that Greece was afloat. We observed the Syrian crisis thousands and thousands of miles away, how millions of refugees, movement of people, ended up within Central Europe, gradually changing the demographic balance, having an impact on the welfare state, and posing a security challenge. The guarantee of real independence for Chad and other countries is beneficial for those countries and for France. Economic prosperity in these countries is beneficial in terms of economic development and security for France. If the Chadians are able to institute systems that reflect their own reality, governments that are accountable to them, it's a win-win situation for everyone, whether within the continent or beyond its own shores. We have also been observing the political wranglings within Nigeria. It is important that African countries and leadership understand that the concept of statehood, instituted and shaped and enforced within the continent and sustained by violence, the deliberate institution of poverty, environmental degradation, massive exploitation of resources to build large armies and police forces that in turn molest and destroy civil society activism cannot be sustained. The basis of the Charter of the United Nations was on the concept of self-determination. That every people have the right to self-determination and to establish within their own nation's political systems that reflect their own contextual reality and work primarily for their benefit. The concept of statehood within the continent is unsustainable. It's built on violence, oppression, corruption, and the institution of leaders that are not accountable to the people. That is why Nigeria must understand that the agitation within Biafra must be factored in any policy development or formulation, and to engage with the Biafrans to ensure that the Biafrans themselves can determine the kind of political system that they want for themselves. I also want to send a powerful message to Cameroonians. Africans are rising up. Africans are rising up. Ambazonians have been fighting for the past 5 years. First with their bare hands, with local tools, and have become ingenious to develop more sophisticated method of resisting a once thought of powerful military that was invincible. Cameroonians must understand that it is time for them to rise up and overthrow the regime. Ambazonia will be in a place to support progressive Cameroon leadership that will recognize the independence of Ambazonia, to ensure they can overthrow the system and put in place a democratic system that can guarantee for Cameroonians peace and security and development, and that can ensure the maintenance of its international border at independence. Cameroonians cannot sit back and watch their country hijacked by old gangsters, armed robbers, whose sole responsibility has been to rob their country of their resources, govern with impunity, lack of accountability for almost more than half a century. It is important that Cameroonians emulate the example in Chad, rise up like the Biafrans, and determine for themselves the kind of political system they want to put in place. Ambazonia is gone. It shall never again be recolonized by any country. It shall never cede an inch of its territory to any other country. As we continue to struggle for our right to exist, to institute for ourselves and the next generation the kind of political system that reflects our own reality, we wish the same for all peoples whose destiny has been hijacked by an illicit collaboration between tyrants and foreign dominions. The notion of Pan-Africanism begins with the concept of self-determination, where peoples can decide the kind of political system they want. And these people and political systems can in turn collaborate, trade with other countries for mutual benefit in terms of prosperity and security. The continent has been hijacked. Poverty has been induced deliberately It is still being recolonized by foreign political powers who dish out loans at low interest rate, indebting the continent at a speed that 100 years from today, the next generation will never be able to pay. Colonialism is no longer the marching of tanks across borders, seizing of political systems and resources. Financial colonialism is taking place through deliberate indebtedness. African resources are being mortgaged, and there is no accountability. There is no replication in terms of development and the creation of opportunities. Africans must think beyond themselves, beyond their time. The great nations of the world were never built by short-sighted thinking. We must think 50 years from now. What kind of continent do we want? What kind of sustainable political system? What kind of economic philosophy do we want that can enrich and empower our people, safeguard the dignity of Africans, and to ensure that all Black people across the globe take pride in our development and in our advancement, so that the countries within which they've taken temporal respite can treat them with dignity. What happens to Black people and Africans across the globe is a symptom of what and the shape of the continent that we see today. Africans and Black people have lost respect because of what other races and people see today. We cannot excuse our backwardness on colonialism of the past. Other countries were colonized too. Why are we still stuck? Why don't we have true independence? Why are we not masters of our own destiny? Why can we not exploit our resources, provide good education, construct better roads, provide people free health care, give those who do not have a job unemployment benefit? Why are these things difficult within a continent where we are so rich, so empowered, so innovative, so ingenious? We must take our destiny in our own hands. Ambazonia has started. All other peoples across the continent should rise up and challenge the established political systems that have been put in place by foreign dominions for their own interests. The future of Africa is in our hands. What we do today will resonate 50 years from today, will alter the way the next generation will think, will alter the way they will hold their governments accountable, will set a benchmark upon which new systems within the continent can emerge. God bless Ambazonia. God bless Africa.